Meantime, Congress is moving ahead with President Trump's agenda, including extending the 2017 tax cuts. But our next guest says that higher tariffs are creating a larger tax burden on the U.S. Joining us right now is former House and Ways Committee Chairman Kevin Brady. He's the spokesperson for the Alliance for Competitive Taxation, and it is great to have you in this role at the table, my friend.
Thanks for having me back. It's great to see you.
So here we are discussing tariffs on one end, the budget on the other. They ostensibly should be connected. I don't really understand what you think is about to happen in terms of how this plays out before we even get into the details of it.
Yeah, so I think, one, the progress that Congress is making on the tax cuts are very impressive. And I would say don't underestimate the importance of the action last week for the House to agree on a reconciliation bill. They basically designed the runway for tax reform to land on, and they did it in a very timely way. Not that and so the risk of an end of the year type of collapse or mess, that risk went down dramatically. Not that there aren't really tough decisions yet ahead. There are. I'd like to say every step of tax reform gets easier. It doesn't. It gets harder. But they put themselves in a very good position to be able to act sooner rather than later in a very.
You say by the end of the year. So how connected are they? Because with the tariffs, the reason I ask is there was a sense, get the tariffs done, figure out whatever that reoccurring revenue is supposed to be, and then you'd be able to look at the budget and say, okay, I can now afford to do X, Y, and Z. Does that?
No. I think sort of the opposite. I think the economic concerns around tariffs, and overall, they want to give the president space to deliver on lower tariffs, lower barriers for selling American around the world. But I think now there's an urgency to moving sooner rather than later to lock in those pro-growth tax reforms, incorporate the president's new proposals.
First.
Absolutely.
And so in terms of timing, what does that look like to you? I should mention, if you look at a calendar, it looks like the debt ceiling becomes an issue come late August, September. Yeah. That could obviously get pushed out to October, unless you think this is all happening. I mean, we had Mike Johnson here. He said this whole thing's going to get wrapped up in the month of May.
Look, I love these super aggressive timetables. It helped me when we were doing this in 2017 to get people to those decisions that need to be made in the House. And they're looking at marking up some of their reconciliation things at the end of April. And the Senate is trying to move at speed, too. Do they get that done by Memorial Day? Still a lot of tough decisions to be made. But even if it slips some, that is a great timetable.
Does slip some mean into July?
Possibly, but it's hard to predict right now. Even that is an impressive timetable.
Kevin, we introduced you saying I have a problem, serious problem with this. I know it's April 15th, but I think the lower taxes are, the more that's left in the private sector, the better we all are, okay? And that's why it's a spending problem. So when we hear President Trump brag about $600 billion a year in tariff income, and that'll be $6 trillion over 10 years, why should I not look at that as increasing taxes on Americans by $600 billion a year?
Well, because it does.
Then why, in your right mind, if you're a low tax person, why is that a core tenet of what you're trying to? Now, could we cut other taxes by $600 billion somewhere else and do it through tariffs? Is that the idea, or are we just adding to what is already a tax burden that's way too high?
So I think for Republicans, they've never counted on tariff income because they're so damaging economically, both in prices, in slowing the economy.
You're not going to the White House anytime soon, are you? You're not going to get an invite.
You see less selling of Made in America products around the world. So it hasn't been a revenue source you can count on. I think at the end of the day, Republicans aren't necessarily counting on that. I think they're giving the president space. They hope sooner rather than later.
This is a negotiating method to his madness?
I think for Republicans in Congress, look,
well, you're not in Congress anymore, so you're speaking honestly now.
Things look upside down because, are Democrats suddenly against tariffs? No. Are Republicans suddenly for tariffs? No. At all. But they love President Trump. They're giving him this space to negotiate. They know sort of the clock's ticking both economically and politically on these negotiations. They're very hopeful, he can land that plane sooner rather than later. But no, I don't see a realignment of Republicans' trade policy. Frankly, that economic freedom to trade, to buy and sell and compete around the world, it built America. You know, it is the strength of our economy. And so, no, I think they're giving him some space.